everybody, Jesse Nyberg here. This is the second episode of the podcast. I have my first guest, STIJHL. In my head, he went by Style, STIJHL, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I known this guy for a while through Instagram and just online. He creates like these super dope digital art, little character drawings, a lot of album art redesigns, just all that kind of stuff. And then he's been going on Twitch, which has been pretty cool, watching him, the process. You've been just starting from sketch on there, right? And then you do the sketch beforehand, and then...
Yeah, no, okay. Nobody wants to see me come up with
Takes
this
too
idea.
long. Yeah. So
I would ruin everything too, because it would be so terrible to look at.
It's nervous. Sometimes when I do stuff, I'm mostly doing
we're going to talk
scratch.
about the streaming stuff too, because the nervousness that comes with it is real.
Yeah, it's different. So I've known this guy for a little bit, but we never really talked that much in person. So I want him to be one of my first guests. That way we could get to know each other a little bit more and put a face to the name and everything, or the tag, whatever. And so basically I found, I don't even know how we found each other, but I remember
it had to have been like just
it seemed like almost random. So if it was, then random. The algorithm was cool for once. Did something. But I feel like I know that I've only known of you or talked to you maybe like 2 or 3 years now, but maybe 2 years, but I feel like I don't remember how, it just kind of,
I don't remember how.
I feel like you were just on my account somehow. It just, you're there and I don't remember how. I'll have to look in the messages or something, but
yeah.
So I wanted to bring him on because I'm going to start this so this podcast is going to be interviewing different creatives, and he's kind of a good segue and balance between design and just other creative fields, because he's a lot more digital art and a little bit more illustrative than me. And I'm going to be having on other people, videographers and things like that. So it's a good start. And so to start off, I just wanted to ask a little bit where you're from and how you got started in this kind of industry and everything.
Yeah, sure. So I'm from a town in New Jersey called Union. For people that aren't too familiar, it's like Newark, Elizabeth are in the same area. I think they're both Union County.
Is it like a suburb kind of?
Yeah. Okay. And then we're near like Jersey City and all like the more like urban New York areas, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a lot over there. Everything's a lot closer than like in the West Coast. I feel
crazy. You can be driving, like you kind of like lose perspective a little bit, because like where you are, it's like houses and all this stuff and schools and stores, and then it's like you drive 10 minutes and you just see like the New York skyline and all that.
Yeah, that's crazy, because I know you can go like 8 hours up through all the states, but over here, California, you can go 10 hours all the way through one state, pretty much. It's weird.
Yeah, it's definitely, to get all the way to the bottom of New Jersey, it's like an hour and a half. So
damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then I got started in digital art like through in high school, when don't do this anymore. Used to pirate music, and then just downloaded from like I don't even remember the names of the websites anymore. Don't need to incriminate them, but it's just downloading them. The album art's not there, and then I would just kind of make it myself. I had like the cracked Photoshop. I had my days on GIMP and all this like web browser kind of stuff, and like basic like I've done like album covers using like meme generators just so I could put a font on something without downloading a program and stuff.
I used to go on the fonts like where you type out the preview, and then I would just screenshot that and like
screenshot it. Yes, that's like screenshot it. You put on like overlay or like one of those, one of the filters, and then you got it. I go on those websites for fonts all the time sometimes, and then so I did that, and then kind of just drew on the side on my own, like throughout life. Never really thought of it more than a hobby, and then over time, just kind of got more into the digital stuff. Bought a like shitty old Wacom tablet for like $50. Ran that to the ground, and then started just drawing portraits and more realistic stuff in digital, like through Photoshop and stuff. But then kind of started working on more collage stuff, and then eventually through learning how to like animate and stuff like that, and trying to teach myself different avenues of kind of illustration, I kind of went into this more like digital, like poppier art style and stuff.
Yeah. So, if you guys haven't checked it out already, I'm gonna have your below you, but he does these like super cool. They look like if you ever played that game where you would like beat up that little buddy and like
Gang Beast.
And he was just basically like, they're basically like these little, like the most, not primitive, but like if he was like a clay model of like a weird little human with a perfectly round head and like kind of almost like a little voodoo doll or like Little Big Planet type like characters.
Little Big Planet definitely has transformed a lot of my life in more ways. Drawing, I'm sure you've probably played it too. It just
that
seems
shit's
like
dope.
It's the best.
So he does those, and they're like, I think it's cool because you're able to like adapt those things to things I wouldn't think would work. Because I know I see sometimes say like on Twitter or whatever, which album art or what like photo or whatever can I make into like this version, and sometimes I see people recommend something and like it's like super complex and I'm like, there's no way he's gonna be able to like simplify it into like this style, and then you end up doing it like the one that you did of the Monsters Inc. That shit was dope with the little sock and everything.
I still gotta finish that. That's my favorite scene in any piece of cinema. Anything is that scene. And then just like trying to do album covers. I just love music, so I just try and incorporate any of that into whatever.
Have you or I'll get back to this after, but what's kind of the origin of like those little characters? And like I know you said you've said before when I've spoke with you that you did other things before, so how did you get into, like, you've definitely solidified a style, so how did you start with that?
So when I was going through all those and like trying to teach myself a lot of like the programs, I wanted to learn how to do like frame by frame animation, like super raw and grueling, like draw the frame, make it opaque, draw it again, or transparent. And then, so to simplify a lot of them, I would just kind of draw like the form of the person, like for a walking cycle or something like that, rather than fully render drawing because I'm doing it frame by frame. And then eventually just kind of like, I don't know what it was. I wish I had like this moment that just kind of like clicked so I can like tell people so it sounds a bit cooler. But it was just kind of just over time, I would just start drawing in that and like sketching that way. And then it kind of just like simplified itself over time with just me trying different things with like color and then shapes and stuff like that. And then kind of took on like this very, I guess what it was subconsciously was like this, what we were talking about earlier with like Little Big Planet, just like this very simple and like archaic kind of thing where it's like, what is like the least amount I can put in for them to understand that this is a person.
It's kind of like almost like logo design in that way, that you want to make it like the most interesting thing, but also like you want it to convey the message or get the feeling of the brand across with like the least amount of elements. That way it can be applied to like a ton of different things. And I feel like you've definitely done that with those characters. And it's funny because it's kind of like sometimes you see like some famous artists, you know, like everyone knows like that, like Russian art movement where they were doing like just squares on stuff and things like that. Like, and people would complain like, oh, that's not real art, or like that person probably does that because it's easy. But then you look at that person actually knows how to do like Renaissance paintings and stuff.
That's the thing. I was just having this conversation where it's like a lot of people where it's like Jackson Pollock or like Basquiat, where it's like these like very like emotional, like archaic things, like movements, and like you could see like the brushstrokes and stuff. People are like, oh, my kid could do this, all this stuff, and like this isn't art, or what is this? It's like they have a bit like they are choosing to do this, not they are limited to doing this. Like they,
and it's like you have to know the rules to break them, type of thing. And I feel like, I don't know, like I have nothing against any types of design art, but there's sometimes I see like things like photorealism and stuff, and I'm just like, that's like the hardest thing you could possibly do, I think. But at the same time, it's almost the easiest because you're just copying it exactly, you know? There's no...
I think that is I feel the same way. And I think a lot of people do who kind of like try and break those rules, because it's like my portfolio to get into graphic design school was realism and stuff like that, because that's kind of like what they want to see.
Yeah.
But it's like that stuff is like, it already exists. Why would I kind of want to recreate it? We have cameras that do that stuff. It's like, we don't have a camera that does what you do or does what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hopefully we won't get that.
Oh,
because then we won't have a job anymore. If there was just a Instagram filter that turned anything into your style.
It's like that Snapchat filter that's like an anime face or something.
Yeah. Some of them, like, when I see them get more complex, I'm like, oh no. So they're going to have like the logo generators where you just type in like fun, cool, like modern, and then you type
in the Instagram handle of your favorite artist, and it's going to generate a new piece from them. It's like those AI rapping robots and stuff. Like you saw like the Jay-Z.
Yeah.
They made a whole new song.
Or they'll do like things like, I had AI write like this episode of SpongeBob or whatever, and it's just like Mr. Krabs, like money, like capitalism, greed, and all this shit, and like just whatever. So I know I had in my notes I was gonna speak on how we met, but I don't even know that origin story, so that might be an episode another time or something.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and do the research, because I think it was either one of us just found each other on each other's explore page and kind of just swiped up on something and we started talking. But
yeah, I hope that was the case, because I mean, Instagram I think is a bit on a downward trend, at least for me. And I remember I've been on we even spoke about, engagement. We were talking about engagement, and me and you both did a poll also, right? Or you asked people or something, and I came to the conclusion, I think that we were right on some things, but then I started seeing all those things with the election and all that. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that was the conclusion I came to, because a lot of stuff with the election, like where I saw a lot of mine, what like a lot of people is a lot of interaction through hashtags and stuff, and that's how. Like when I do album art and stuff, it's like your goal is to get to the top of that hashtag.
Right.
Because then people who search it see your work, and then you do really well. But since the election and all this stuff and all like the line, they don't show recent hashtags anymore. You can't see them. So basically rendering hashtags useless. And then it's crazy, because it's like a lot of you and I and like all these other artists' engagement is through them, because there's not really any other way to find new artists.
Yeah, without
I guess other than your explore page. Yeah.
And it's hard because you'll like the ones that are already like on the top, like if you go on there, they're still there, you know? So it's just further like gatekeeping like the ways to get into the different ones.
It's helped me out, because I did a Baby Keem cover, and then I was able to get into like a good like top spot on the hashtag, so I still get likes from it like every couple days.
What was that? What was the hashtag for?
I think it was just like hashtag Baby Keem or something like that. It was like one of his project covers, and then that one's still.
My boss actually showed me him. It's funny because he's like
really, you have a dope
middle-aged, like he's like a middle-aged, just like German dude. So like it's just funny that he knew about him. Not exactly like his demographic, I feel like. What have you? I wanted to ask you about. Because with COVID and everything, I know you do a lot of freelance and stuff. So since like this has been happening, has it changed like any of the things that you're pursuing creatively, or have you has it changed like your workflow or anything like that, or are you more busy, less busy?
For sure, it's definitely changed. I'm more busy, which is good.
That's good. Yeah.
And then but it's because I kind of like in the last year just kind of like following how I've gotten into digital art itself, just kind of trying new ways to do it. Like I'm sure you've seen like the 3D renders and trying to use Blender. I've been trying to learn how to produce like this music to like soundtrack these renders and like working on different projects. So I've been more busy, thankfully. And then like doing commissions and then stuff like that happens every now and then. I don't necessarily always like try and seek them out, besides every now and then.
Right.
But it's been pretty good. I'm surprised. Like I have nothing to complain about, thankfully. Like it's I've been
I
making
feel
sure
like
I've been keeping active.
You've also been doing like a lot of like I don't know too much about it, but you're connected with those dudes that like rap and everything, right? And you've been like, do you like produce or you just make their album art, or what's up with that?
So I do. The group is Vibe World Order. I got the.
That's right.
The group logo right there.
All right, we'll throw that. We'll throw the at in the video.
I appreciate it. And then so it's like a music collective, and then I do like the visual stuff, like the videos, promo, cover, stuff like that. So yeah, that's very good practice because we've been working a lot recently, so it keeps me busy very much.
Is this shit like, is my camera blinking for you?
Yeah, like every now and then.
I don't know why it's doing that.
Battery low?
All right, I have to say something. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I was trying to get away with it, but it's been like 3, so sorry about that. We'll get the production going better. But what were you saying? I want you to be able to get that all the way through.
Yeah, so I do like a lot of the visual stuff for them. I do the cover work, like if it's like photos, like the last few covers have been like photos, so photos, editing them, doing the video stuff, editing, and then yeah, so a lot of the visual side of that stuff.
And those are like your homies or what?
Yeah. We're all from around here, and then kind of all just met each other in like middle school and high school.
That's
and then like 2016, all started like getting really close, and then just started working on all this stuff together.
Yeah, that's fun because then a lot of times if it's like your boys like that and stuff, you don't have to sacrifice like hanging out or whatever to do stuff because you'll.
No, it's funny. A lot of the stuff when we work together, we're kind of not together because when we get together, it's just hanging out.
Yeah. You get too distracted and shit.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So it sounds like I've kind of been lucky the same way. I know it's pretty hard for a lot of people, but it sounds like you have a similar way that it's been like since everyone's been at home, you've actually gotten more work and stuff like that. So that's good. I mean, I'm like super random. I felt, or like it's kind of rare or whatever, because my day job that I've been working at in the past, like since March or whatever, I got hired pretty much like when this happened. So like
I just got an internship. Like, it's very odd.
And I was like, I interviewed before and I left my other job basically 2 weeks before like everyone got fired for COVID. Like, so if I would have left like on those terms, I don't think I would have time to set up that other job and then get that once this started. So it all happened within like a week. And when I left that other job, I didn't know anything. I was like kind of scared, like, well, this is it. And it ended up working out.
Hey, that's good. Yeah, it's crazy. Things work out.
I know. I'm usually kind of like pessimistic, but sometimes like you just have to. I feel like when you risk it, the universe sometimes is like, all right, well, you actually care, so we'll throw you a bone or something, sure. You know?
Yeah.
So, speaking of like because do you have any type of day job, or are you all freelancing right now, or that internship, right? You said.
Yeah. So I'm still in college. I'm about to be in my last year. It's been a bumpy road, but finally almost in my last year, and then I just kind of live off of like commissions, working like DoorDash or just like an odd job here and there.
And just like, going to school.
Yeah. So just kind of toughen it out for a bit till we could get out the basement.
Yeah, for real. So how because I feel like with I'm usually pretty good at getting stuff done when I have on my own terms and on my own time, but sometimes I feel like since it's been all working from home, it's harder for me to like stay driven and work on like pursue new clients and stuff when I already feel busy, or like just have the passion to like work on like stuff just for fun or just to work on it to get better rather than like, oh, if I find myself like trying to make a video or something like now, like out of anything, like, so how have you stayed like, driven and stuff like through all this, like not being able to go out and everything?
Yeah. So I've been staying driven just by kind of doing different stuff. Like like how you were saying, you just kind of like force it at like
right.
Art for me and like everybody is kind of just like the fun thing that they like to do, and like just so happen that we can make some money off of it and try and pursue it as a career. But I try and do other things so I don't kind of like poison me doing my own art out of just like vain or just like out of like
being greedy
like
or
ill
anything.
intentions. Yeah. So I just kind of work on other things, and if it comes to me, it comes to me, and I work on it. If not, it'll come when it does.
Right.
So I've been saying like driven just by doing other stuff, and then a lot of the times when I'm doing like video or like 3D rendering or music, like you kind of just get new ideas that you wouldn't have gotten
right
if you were just doing forcing yourself to sit and draw.
It's harder to like when I was a younger designer, I was very like turned off by the idea of like client briefs and like all these limitations. Like, why can't I just do it this way? Like having to work with them. But I realized like when you put certain limitations on things, like that's when you get the best stuff, because it makes it harder and you have to work around it. Like there's sometimes even like my day job, I'll create something that I think is like really good and finished, and my boss will have a remark and I'm like, oh fuck, like he doesn't get it or whatever. And then I go back and it turns out way better the next time, So like sometimes you need like the client or whatever the job to like really get that like extra like juice out of you, to create something.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people are scared of like iterating on certain things, where it's like learning in design school, it's like, how many thumbnail sketches do we have to do for this logo before I like bang my head against the table?
Yeah,
it's like doing all these, but then you find out that like it's so much better than your last one. So they're right. Unfortunately, it just so happens to be at our expense of lack of sleep and time.
Yeah.
But
one of my professors was like the worst with that. Like he'd be like, wow, like you'd do like thumbnails. He'd be like, this is good. Like, do like 25 of that style.
Oh like, yeah. 25 is the magic number. And then it's like, do 25 thumbnails, and then it's like, take your best 2 or 3, then do like 5 of each. Yeah. And then it's
like,
crazy.
I find myself like, sometimes I'm like, fuck that. Like if no one's forcing me to, like, I'll just hop right in like Illustrator, or I'll just like go off the idea that I thought was perfect. And I end up wasting like 2 hours sometimes, because it's like I'm like trying to make it work so bad and it just doesn't work. Or sometimes
like
hopefully
convince yourself too.
Yeah, and hopefully if you're lucky, that idea you'll realize how bad it is, and then but you find some other thing in there, to kind of branch out off of. So like speaking of that and like getting inspired and finding ways to like create certain things, who or what, or like I guess why have anything of that has been like your biggest inspirations lately? It could be an artist, music, anything like that.
Yeah, I've been kind of just like seeing social media has inspired me in a way where it's like connecting with other artists, like people like you. I have a couple other friends that work on a lot of stuff. One of my friends, her name's Yazzie, she does like these like illustrations and like mosaics, and it's like it's like a part of my brain I can't even comprehend. So like seeing stuff like that really makes me rethink like how I do things and like seeing their process. So kind of taking that into account when I'm doing mine, like kind of like, all right, take your time, like don't rush, like you kind of just like get in the swing of things,
right? And
you don't want to stop that momentum. And then just being inspired by like kind of a lot of pop art stuff, like Takashi Murakami is like the biggest ever. So that one's hard to not be inspired by, even if you don't do art.
I know, that
like,
shit's crazy.
Yeah, and stuff just like furniture and like bags and like kind of like accessories really inspire me, because it's like these little things that like attract people so much that they need to just have it on this shelf forever, or like we just need to sit it on this table. It doesn't even have a function, just kind of sits there. And I kind of like that idea where it's like it kind of adds to like this ambience of stuff. So kind of look
just
at
a little
sculpture
stuff, or whatever, or like a little vase. Yeah, I really like the like. We just moved into a new apartment recently, and I realized like how much thank you. I realized how much I like the mid-century modern like furniture and shit. Like I really like the problem is like to get the good shit, it's like out of my budget, you know. It's like $5,000 like chairs.
Or if you find a broken version on the beach, you gotta like refurbish.
Yeah, and I'm not like those like guys that can just like get some old wood and like fix it all up and shit, you know. And, like on TikTok you'll see those people do that kind of stuff, and like
it's like they make like those like those wax resin tables on like a tree log or something.
I know. And then they're just like, it's so easy, you just go out into the woods with your axe and chop it down.
It's a different brain. That's like
I feel like I find myself getting inspired like from other things. I personally don't really like following a lot of people that are like similar to me. Like I don't really like following a lot of like, I don't know, like branding or logo design or anything like that, because then I feel like I get too stuck looking at that same stuff. And I've been a victim, or like I've cursed my page with this too. Like sometimes you see a lot of these like specific types of designers, and I don't even know if they're the same person or not or whatever, you know, because it's all just kind of the same. And
it kind of just like molds into a trend, and then kind of just falling into that.
Like the minimal like logo design stuff, and then all the way to like that really like trendy like acid graphics, like dark like poster stuff. Like whenever I see that, I do that stuff too, but I don't even know like who did it, because there's so many of them, and like it's just like a weird like, it's almost like how in music like everyone's like a SoundCloud rapper, you know. Like it's hard to find. Yeah, it's kind of like following things
into, it's like a type beat. Like if you go on YouTube, type in like someone type beat, it's kind of like someone type drawing. It's pretty similar.
I forget what it's called, that word where it's like that is someone sees that and that creates that, and then it's like a cycle of that just going on forever. Yeah. I forgot what it's called.
Like a big snowball effect or something like that.
And that's just so weird.
Doing logo, like, I mean, I'm sure you like doing logo, but like working with clients, because like in school, like we do logo stuff for some like branding classes and stuff. And I, since I'm like kind of lean more towards like illustration and stuff, I don't have that kind of brain for logo stuff. So I've always been interested in asking, it's like, what do you do when you run into like clients that are just like, you know, when like someone has an idea, they already see it in their head, so they're just waiting for you to kind of get that out, but they're not letting you give you like your room for your work. It's like, how do you deal with that, especially with logos? Because I feel like that is one of the things that is like the most picky when it comes to clients.
I mean, I would like to just tell you like, oh, you just got to like show them that this is the right way and stuff. But I do that. I can do that now, usually. Technically, like I feel like the more you get clients, the more they're coming for you. Like I think people would come to you for those characters. They wouldn't be like, I want like still life. You'd be surprised. Whatever, you know?
You'd be surprised.
So, but in the beginning, I was just like I might as well have worked at McDonald's. Like I just made their order, you know, and it didn't matter like what I knew, but then in their defense, what I knew before might not even have been as good as I thought it was, you know?
That's true.
But I think you have to slowly, like what I do at least is, a lot of my briefs and contracts, I'll do 3, I'll do sketching and stuff, inspiration, whatever. And then like by week 1, I'll try to do like 3 first ideas, and I'll always try to do their thing no matter what, you know. And even if I don't like it, I hope they don't like it anymore either. But
we learned that's like a strategy where it's like kind of, say if you're doing 3 iterations, it's like, all right, let one of these be the one that you want to do, and then kind of like drive them to like just kind of driving them towards one of the things that you want them to pick.
Right.
It's like very,
it's
like,
kind of contrary to what I was going to say, but my professor used to always say, never put the one that you don't like, because I'll always choose that one. And sometimes it happens. But I try to do that, and then I try to do something that I think would work, and then I try to do something completely different. So let's say my issue, like I run into, is I think a lot of people, they want too much. They want too much going on. They're like, we're a surf company, so we want the guy riding the surfboard with the waves crashing and a bunch of people watching him. And I'm just like,
and then just like a shark attack in the background with like a ship
and Jaws and like all this.
Like, do you know that it has to fit on a business card?
Yeah, and they're like, and it's gonna be like on the swim trunks, you know, like that big. I'm like, okay. So that's when I would send them to like someone that does like illustration. Like I don't do stuff that I don't feel confident anymore. Like I'm trying to get more niche.
I've definitely gotten to that.
Deny stuff that I don't think I could do better than other people. That's why I like building a network. So if someone came to me saying they want like some characters, I'm not going to just try to do what you do. I'll just send them to you.
Yeah, so definitely, I think that's a good thing too, especially with social media. I've run into that where it's like, I can't do this, so it's like, here's 3 artists that I know who do something like that. You could just pick them,
and then I hope they don't come and tell them like some stupid shit, you know, like
$5 or just like kind of preface all of them, just be like, look, I don't know if this is stupid, but I'm going to refer you to them.
Right. So I guess the answer is like how I would do that is just do that, like try to come up with your own ideas and really sell it. Like even something as like simple as like doing mock-ups or like putting a presentation with some kind of like, if you don't feel confident in the way that you think it should be, you can't expect the client to, you know, you can't just tell them it's this way, because they're always going to say why, or you need to like do overkill almost on like the consumer will like it this way, like maybe do like research, whatever. But it's definitely harder in the beginning, and I've ended up just doing stuff that I legitimately don't think is good. Like I don't even want anyone to know that I made it before. But I try to, like, these days it's been like a little better with I think it always will just get better, you know, when the more you get into
people
the field.
do art into their 80s and 90s, so it's like,
and they probably still complain about 20 that.
Is pretty like
yeah, it's like I know creative directors and stuff that are like 40 and they're like, damn, this client, you know, like, so it doesn't matter. You could be like the best. They can go to like Pentagram or something, like it's like the best agency in New York, and they're probably like still like telling like Michael Beirut or whatever, like, I don't know, like you should jazz it up a little bit. Like this.
That's why they got so many people, I guess. It's like,
I know. I saw this chart one time. It was like all the things clients say and like what it means, and it was just like, jazz it up a little and like just like, can we make it more modern? And
it's like very like the compliment sandwich kind of thing, where it's like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna take a look at this, let it breathe, I'm gonna sit with it, or just like all these little words that are trying to mask that they hate this shit.
I know, it's funny. And it's hard to be respectful of your time and like like now I do revisions, but after like 2 or 3 I'll need to charge more, you know, or whatever, because when I was younger, like I was just getting wrecked, you know, like I would be up all night replying to people on sending screenshots. Like, is this better? Is this better? Like moving one little pixel or whatever, and being like, or I'd be so unconfident. Like I'd ask how could I expect to charge when I'm trying to ask the client for like, oh, what colors did you want to use and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's kind of just like opening them up to like
feel like insecure about
taking advantage of like what you're doing. And I've gotten to the point where it's like, I've done logo work here and there for some people. I don't do it anymore really, but I do more like illustrative logos and stuff kind of within my drawing style. And then it's gotten to some cases where it's like almost done, and then they're just like, you know what, I think we're gonna go with somebody, and then it's just like a whole ordeal, and it's like, dude, I spent way longer than I'm getting paid for.
I've learned from one of my professors to put in a thing called like a kill fee or whatever, so that way no matter how much work you've done, even if once they sign the contract, like let's say the project is $500, so 250 in the beginning and then 250 at the end. So let's say though, by you're 60% done or you're 10% done, regardless, if they give up on the project, they still owe you like, let's say like another $100 or whatever. So like they might not have to pay the whole thing because it's like that's some might be unreasonable if you only did like 10%. But if you did 80%, like you should at least get some more money, you know, like if you're about to be done. So I usually do that way. And I've learned to do like contracts. That shit's kind of like taboo and it sucks like doing it with your friends and stuff. But I've had people that are like my friends and they're still like trying to be like, oh, I don't have the money or whatever. So it's like, I don't want to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, it's better, I guess, to just get that formality out of the way as soon as you can. So it's
not
like,
scary. It's like all branded, just like PDF. I send them. It's not
it's like nice and bright and happy and stuff. It's not like an 8-page contract or anything like that.
I know. And I don't even like, sometimes it's like, I hope it's all good too. Like, I don't want, I don't want to, I'm not like a lawyer, you know? So it's good on my end. As long as they sign it, I feel like it's all good. One last thing that I was want to ask you about is when you're working and stuff, like is there any specific types of like music that you like or podcasts, or like what do you use to like kind of get into your zone and everything?
So depending on, I kind of just I'll start the drawing without music, or like I'll have an idea and then kind of what it is or like what it feels like, I'll kind of listen to that kind of music, like just a lot of like Kate Renata, Tom York kind of stuff where it's like not a lot going on, like not like a full song, like verses and hooks and all this stuff, where it's
instrumental
like
and stuff,
more instrumental kind of stuff. And then sometimes I'll listen to just like podcasts, like Joe Budden podcast, Joe Rogan, just like a lot of comedian podcasts and stuff.
That's what I do a lot.
Yeah, it's like you don't feel time passing as much when you're listening to a conversation as much as like, because if you're listening to an album that you really know, you can kind of feel how time is moving, where it's like,
yeah, that's true.
I know that we're later in the album. Yeah, I was having this conversation yesterday actually, and it was funny because it was the same situation where it was like, what do you listen to when you're working? And it's like, well, you kind of want the day to get over as soon as possible when it's like you're at a job that sucks or something. So you don't want to feel time move. And then listening to conversations is so natural where it's like time just kind of slips away and then your day is almost over, especially with podcasts since they're so long. It's like half a day's work if you listen to a Joe Rogan podcast or something.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, it's like 9 to 5, one of them, you know?
Yeah.
like 4 hours long. I feel people made jokes about that and he just like doubled down, you know? Sometimes they were only 2 hours.
Longer. Honestly, I can't get enough. Like sometimes I'll just listen to the podcast, then I'll come back home and watch them.
Yeah.
I love them so much. Like it is like definitely impacted how much I listen to music, because now definitely. I almost exclusively only listen to music in my car or if I'm out, because it's like I'm around so many people that make music and have been in places where it's like the same beat is playing for like 4 hours in a row and you're like, I don't want to hear a harmony for a week. And then like
the 808's just stuck in your head.
Oh my goodness. It's like my ears are still ringing. It's like,
yeah, I feel like the only thing with podcasts is sometimes like it's like too good. Like I'll get distracted, you know? Especially if I have 2 monitors now, so I'll have like the video kind of just in the corner, and sometimes I'll be.
That's what I have. I have the monitor. I have 2 monitors. I have one in front of me and then one a little bit to the side. So it's like the podcast is on the one a little bit to the side, so I don't like really keep looking at it.
Yeah, when I used to be at work, my other job, because I've been working from home even for my day job. So when I used to work at the office at this like entertainment agency, I'd be working on like a lot of grunt design work and be listening to podcasts, and it had the vibe there was a little bit weird, like kind of quiet, and I would just start laughing like sometimes because I would be listening to like Your Mom's House, like or Theo Vaughn's podcast or something, like one of those like just like really like kind of obscure like comedy ones, and like sometimes like I just couldn't help it, you know. And you have your headphones, you don't know that you're loud, and then someone like this guy Manny, he's like, "What's going on over there?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah, I've been in class just like listening to like Bobby Lee's podcast or something. And it's so funny, and then you have to remember where you are because it's kind of like you kind of like lose reality for a second when you're listening to this conversation. You're like, oh, there's people around me.
Yeah, that Bad Friends one, that's like my new favorite, I think.
Yeah,
that shit's really good.
Run through that one.
I like podcasts are good.
Because it's like I will listen to some over and over again, and like I'll go and watch like the highlight compilations that people make on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's really
like the super cuts and all that.
Yeah,
I think they're good because sometimes like I feel like I'll look on YouTube and I'm like, Jesus, like I haven't been on for a couple of days. I have so many I need to watch. Like, or other times like I'm like, damn, it's Wednesday and I already watched like all of them. If they ever drop
like there's like 4 on Monday, and if I have a busy day, I just run through all of them. You're in a drought till Thursday, and it's,
I know.
It's bad. Funny. I try to find podcasts that come out every day of the week or something like that, or like every like 1 or 2 days, and then just kind of keep those in my rotation.
Yeah, and not with just podcasts, but it's interesting too with music how you said you choose it based off like the vibe of like the thing you're working on, because I feel like that is a good idea and I feel like that would work, but I never really thought about it that way. Like my whole thing is just I don't want I don't know, like I just hate lyrics for some reason when I'm working, like you were saying, like so when I'll play on like my record player or just on my Spotify, I'll just do like house or like lo-fi hip hop or something like that. And then my record player, I've noticed like my record collection isn't exactly like indicative of my complete music taste. It just has a lot of the more like, you know, like jazz and blues and like a lot of just more like chill stuff because like I have a lot of like punk and hardcore records too, but it's like I can't fucking work with that shit playing. I like it so much, you know, but it's too much.
Yeah, I work to like a lot of like one of my friends, Les, he makes like house music and then like more like dance music, like K-Tronada, like Sango kind of stuff. And then it's like kind of just like what the mood is. If it's like a slower, like I don't want to draw to like trap beats and stuff because it's like you kind of feel like you're rushing in a way, and it's like very much like impedes like the energy that's going on. And then it's like the same thing, like the records I have, it's all like FK Twigs, Radiohead, all this stuff, and it's like not indicative of all of what I normally listen to if I'm in a car. Right. But it's like if I'm in my room, I kind of just like keep things in different places to kind of choose from, so I don't really like impact what I'm doing in an incorrect way. Right.
Yeah, I'm really big on like just like one of my favorite artists when I'm working is like, you know, Tom Misch. Do you know who that is?
I've heard of him.
He's really dope, and he's like kind of jazz like guitarist dude from like UK, and his like he has the lyrics but they're like super chill. He's almost like a jazzier, like more like laid back version of like and also British of like John Mayer or someone like that. Okay. But he made a album, you know, like Blue Note, like the record. He made an album with them with this drummer named Yusuf Days. And
okay,
like,
I've heard of
that shit is crazy. Like the instrumentals are just so good, and like they're like it's like those songs where it's like chill and then it has like crazy like orchestra parts and then it comes back down. So you should check that out. I'll throw it in the description too. It's called What Kind of Music. That's what the
definitely I'm gonna check it out. I listen to like I've listened to like I try and find like soundtrack kind of music in a similar way to
so
where
it has like a theme kind of.
Yeah, like a theme. Like I've worked to like, and I love Pixar movies, so I like work to like, or just animated videos like Disney stuff. So I work to like the Incredible soundtrack. It's very like jazzy, like swing kind of stuff.
Like spy shit like, too, kind of.
Yeah, like spy music, like the, like 007 kind of theme, or like kind of like FK Twigs or like Tom York's albums, like solo albums are very like soundtrack cinematic stuff. So I like working to that because you kind of fit the music into what you're working on, especially for illustrative stuff that I do. It's like thinking, it's like, okay, what would be playing if this was like in a movie and I was one of these people? Right. And then trying to figure out what would sound right. And then so I don't kind of stray away, kind of like what you were saying earlier, like kind of put these boundaries a little bit so you don't overdo something.
So even are you able to even concentrate then when you're drawing West Side Gun? Are you playing like?
Oh no, throw on the West Side Gun. Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, those dudes are so sick. I saw them like right before probably one of the last shows. Oh hell yeah! One of the last shows that I think before
you went to see a show.
Yeah, I saw them at the Novo in downtown LA. And they were like 3 hours late because they were at the Laker game right next door at the Staples Center.
I've not been to a single show where the artist wasn't late.
Yeah,
I went to
it's such a vibe in like hip hop. I feel 4 hours.
Yeah, I need to see one of those shows.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping shows and stuff will come back soon. And a little bit back on what we were saying, like it's interesting the ways that you choose certain things when you're designing or as a creative versus like your normal endeavors, because like even there's this designer named John Contino. I think you'd like him because he does logos and stuff, but he hasn't compromised like any of like his style. Like it looks all very hand drawn and like kind of like he always is under the school of thought of like the sketch is like usually the best like idea, you know, like he likes shit like very rough and things. But my point was, he said he listens to the same movie over and over when he works, or the same album, even if it plays 5 times. Like
I do that too. I have like a rotation of like 3 albums I mainly listen to, and then kind of just like just over and over again. I just don't get tired of them, and it's like kind of like when you put them on, you're like you kind of get into the zone because it's like, okay, this is on, and I know what I do when this is on, so I'm gonna get into that role.
Yeah, I almost find myself sometimes listening to other stuff because I feel like I have to. Like, I gotta like put this one away for a little bit, or else I'm never gonna listen to
let it breathe. I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for now. And I wanted you to be able to also, if you have anything else you want to talk about or anything you want to plug or anything like that, I'm gonna throw stuff in the description and probably have Vince, my producer, throw up some images and stuff throughout the podcast and everything.
Okay, word. Yeah. I don't have much, but the group I work with, we were talking about earlier, Vibe World Order, we put out a new song. I did the video and the cover called Teriyaki. Super dope. It's
all right. I'll link that up too.
And we thought it was going to do, so we're excited about that. And then me, I'm just working on the stuff I work on, so I just go at my own pace. Nothing really big I'm working on.
Is it STIJHL or STIJHL? Like, is that everywhere on all your stuff?
Yeah, STIJHL everywhere. STIJHL on Twitter, STIJHL on IG.
Cool. And
Spotify.
Then, go ahead and send me over the like the song and like your homie you reference, like Jazzy or whatever, and I'll throw all that stuff in the description. That way people could kind of navigate some of the stuff we're talking about.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, bro, I appreciate it. It was good to finally meet you, and I'll let you know when it's coming out and everything.
Sir, thank you. Have a good one,
man. Peace out. Take it easy.
You too.